Drainage structure and patterns. Drainage, the flow of water through well-defined channels, is known as drainage, and the network of such channels is called a drainage system. Channels are the paths through which water flows. Channels can be natural, like rivers, streams, or artificial, like ditches and culverts. A drainage pattern refers to the arrangement and organization of rivers, streams, and other water bodies on the land surface. It describes how water flows across the landscape and is influenced by various geographical and environmental factors, such as slope of land. On steep slopes, water flows rapidly. On gentle slopes, water flows more slowly. Likewise, different rock types or geological structure, it also influence how water moves through the landscape. For example, water may flow easily through permeable rocks, affecting the drainage pattern, and geological features like faults and folds can alter the direction and flow of water, creating complex drainage patterns. Types of drainage patterns. Dendritic drainage pattern. Now it is the most common form and it resembles the branching pattern of the tree roots or a branching tree. Now this pattern is tree-like with a central trunk, river or stream from which smaller tributaries branch out at various angles, much like the branches of a tree. In this pattern, the rivers and streams follow the natural slope of the terrain. The central trunk generally runs along the main slope with tributaries joining it at acute angles. This pattern typically develops in areas where the underlying rock or sediment is relatively uniform in terms of erosion resistance. The rock does not have a distinct structural orientation like folds or faults that would significantly affect erosion rates in different directions. The pattern forms where the terrain has a consistent slope, allowing water to flow naturally and create a branching network. The underlying geology lacks significant structural features that would otherwise influence the flow of water and create more complex drainage patterns. So these patterns are commonly found in areas with flat or gently sloping terrain where the rock or soil is easily eroded. Parallel drainage pattern. Now this pattern is characterized by streams and rivers that flow parallel to each other, resembling the alignment of the parallel lines. In this pattern, the main rivers or streams, they run parallel to each other, often with little branching between them. Tributary streams also tend to align parallel to the main channels. The presence of a strong, consistent slope influences the direction of water flow, causing streams and rivers to align parallel to one another. It develops in regions with parallel landforms such as ridges, valleys, or elongated hillocks. The topography and geological structure of the region led to the development of this pattern. The radial drainage pattern occurs when streams and rivers flow outward from a central high point resembling the spokes of a wheel. This pattern typically develops around the dome-like or elevated landform. The pattern is characterized by a central elevated area, such as a dome, volcano, or mountain peak. The drainage system radiates outward from this central high point. Rivers and streams flow away from the central dome in a radial fashion, creating a pattern where the channels spread out like spokes on a wheel. The surrounding terrain generally slopes away from the central high point, allowing water to flow in multiple directions. For example, volcanoes. Radial drainage patterns are commonly observed around volcanoes. Streams and rivers flow outward from the volcanic peak. Centripetal drainage pattern. Now it is characterized by streams and rivers converging from all sides towards a central depression or basin. Unlike the radial drainage pattern, which radiates outwards, it involves water flowing inwards towards a low-lying area. Streams and rivers flow towards a central low-lying basin or depression in the landscape. This central area typically collects water from the surrounding regions. Water converges from various directions into the central depression, creating a network of tributaries that flow towards the same point. The central depression is usually a basin or valley where water accumulates, often forming lakes, swamps, or other water bodies. It is similar to the radial drainage system, with the only exception that radial drainage flows out, whereas the centripetal drainage flows inwards.